Right, welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to this match reaction for Oxford United as we hosted Wycombe Wanderers in Sky Bet League One and lose 1-0. Another very, very bad performance and result. The winless run only continues. I came back for the weekend and not to see a good performance or result at all. Very, very, very poor. And I think I've got a fairly good record of trying to stay calm and not going over the top, keeping quite a level head in certain circumstances. But today there's a tipping point. Today felt different. And it's just not good enough. The bottom line is it's just really, really bad. And the club is quite a toxic place to be around at the moment. And as a football fan, and we do the roundups, we do other concepts, but the match reactions, we speak about Oxford. This is a football club that I love, that I support, and that I go home and away for a lot of the time. Most of the time. Of course, we pay money as fans to go and watch this. And so far, we are getting... Well, it's embarrassing. It's absolutely embarrassing. And something needs to change. We've seen change off the field in recent weeks with the new owners coming in, the new board of directors, or head of directors, the new CEO, whatever all that means. And I think it's probably time we see a change on the field as well. And... whether that is a manager switch, I'm not sure. Whether or not that does mean Karl Robinson has to lose his job. At this point, I'm still really, really not sure. My gut says he has got to go. My gut says he has got to move on, and he's run its course. It is time for him to move on. That's what my gut is saying. But I understand that's quite a substantial and quite significant statement to make. This is a manager that's been here for over 3.5 years, and when you ask for him to lose his job, that is that is a big statement. But sometimes you have got to make big calls, and maybe sometimes a new owner has got to make a big call. I don't see any sign of change. The encouragement has gone. There's nothing there for me to suggest that this is going to change. So what can you do about it? Who is responsible? Well, it is the manager. Is the manager. We bang on all the time about how he is the director of football, how he is the head of recruitment, he is the coach, he is the manager, he's everything. I mean, he's not anymore, thankfully. There is going to be a switch in the sort of hierarchy status. He will not be the head of recruitment. He probably still will be. We haven't got a director of football, but he won't be in charge of the entire running of the football club. And for him, that can only be seen as a positive. We understand he's quite a hands-on kind of guy, but this does now mean that he is now fully responsible for his actions, and he can't really say, well, look, I'm on that, I'm on this, and I'm doing that, and I want to do this. That isn't the case anymore. He's the football manager. His job is to win games of football. He is responsible for what we see on a Tuesday, on a Saturday, and at the moment, those Tuesdays and those Saturdays aren't going very well. The performances aren't there. The free-flowing football that was, that was so clear week in, week out in previous years is non-existent. There's nothing at all. And I said, people are going to laugh because I titled it, Is This the Turning Point? Last week against Charlton, we drew 1-1. And I did feel in that first half, there was something a little bit different. But no, there isn't. There really isn't. That first half, I think, was just Charlton not playing very well at all. Because you saw in the second half, Charlton, they came back into the game. I know it's easy to sort of change my opinion now I've seen that. But ultimately, if you really break it down, I did say this. First half, we were better, but Charlton were abysmal. Second half, Charlton came out. They brought on some players. Kirk came on. Leeburn came on. The game changed. The game switched. And we sort of we fizzled back into the sort of Oxford United of this year. Today, Wickham, and we haven't even mentioned Wickham yet. I mean, this is sort of a match reaction and rant really about the whole situation at Oxford United. But Wickham, they're struggling this season. They have been struggling. I mean, they weren't great today. You're never going to get a good game of football when you watch Wickham, are you? Let's be completely honest here. But they get results. They've been successful with it. Gareth Ainsworth, he's a manager that doesn't really care about playing attractive football. They don't really care about having the ball. We dominated possession. We had 27 shots. But you do nothing with the possession, and your shots are going over the stand. Doesn't matter, does it? We can all just run around a little bit. We can all press, and we can all hold on to the ball. Not all of us, but, a lot of players can. A lot of players can take shots from well outside the penalty area and, absolutely blast them over the bar and come out and go, we had 27 shots. We had 60% possession. Yeah, but we did nothing with it. There was no spark. There's no energy. Any footballer could do that. But we're unable to actually we're not threatening whatsoever in any way, shape or form. And this is a football club and a manager who has built a philosophy off looking good going forward. We're not scoring any goals. I think we're second from bottom with XG. I don't like talking about XG too much because I understand it's about results. You just look at the league table. Look at the recent results. Was it 5 games now? 4 games without a win? I think it's 4 now. 4 winless, 4 on the bounce without a win. We drew to Charlton. We lost to Plymouth convincingly, even though it was only 1-0. We could have lost that game 2 or 3-0. People will say we could have won the game 6-1. I think actually Cameron Brannigan came out and said it. No, we couldn't win this game 6-1 because this season we don't look good going forward. So we wouldn't win this game 6-1. We missed a penalty in the game. There was obviously a really quite worrying moment when a fan, we believe, collapsed in the stands, and quite rightly putting football into perspective. The game was stopped, and of course that did mean that the game was halted for obviously very good reason. And we believe, hopefully, I hope, I think we can all say we really wish him a speedy recovery, or her, we don't know. They do come out of this okay. We don't really know the situation at this point, but that's the priority. The priority is that they are okay. And when you put football into perspective, football means nothing in those type of moments, does it? We missed a penalty before that. We came back out after the stoppage, and again we just couldn't find rhythm. We couldn't find any type of momentum whatsoever. We were just lacking in so many departments. And for me, like I say, there feels as though there's no sign of change. And when there's no sign of change, sometimes, like I say, big decisions have to be made. And I think my gut is saying he probably has got to go. He probably has got to go. And I like him. In fact, I really, really like Karl Robinson. I said it so many times. I've always said it. I think he's a great guy. I think he's somebody that what he's done for the football club in the past sort of 3 or 4 years is exceptional. Really, really good. What he does for the community and what he does for the actual county of Oxfordshire is fantastic. But I think he might have run his course. I think it might have run its course. I think his time might be up. And like I said, that does hurt because I think I like him. And that does have to come into opinion, of course it does. But at the same time, you look at the now. You can't live in the past. You've got to live in the moment. You've got to live right now and look at the situation right now. And it's doom and gloom. It's completely doom and gloom right now. And the boos after every half time, end of the game, they were so loud. So loud, and the fans were showing their clear frustration and anger towards the players and the manager. Cameron Brannigan, who is one of the most loved players that we've ever had, certainly in the recent history, he's confronting a fan. The fans are shouting something out. He's confronting him. It's such a toxic place to be. It's not a nice place to be. You should go to your football ground. You should watch your football club with pride, with happiness. It should be a release of excitement, really, shouldn't it? You're going to lose games of football, but even when you lose, you try and play a good brand of football. You watch your side, you support your club, you cheer, you support, you get behind them. And I know Cameron Brannigan comes out and say, stick with us and stick by us, but there is a point where you go, I just don't know how you could. There's no sign. The bottom line is, I don't sort of go, at least there's that. We can hang on to that. There isn't any of that whatsoever. We can't go, okay, this was okay. If we build on this, there could be a turning point. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. There's no light at the end of the tunnel whatsoever. It just looks so dark. It looks like a really cloudy, overcast day, and it has been for 11 games. Of course, there's been moments of okay, but moments of okay will get you into a lot of trouble. Because if there's moments of okay and the rest is absolutely diabolical, you're going to be in a relegation battle. And breaking news, smell the cheese, we're in a relegation battle. We're in a relegation battle. We're in a dogfight. We would be in the bottom 4 if Forest Green didn't have a minus 13 goal difference. We're both on 11 points. Wickham was struggling, like I said, and they weren't amazing, but they defended really well. Of course, if we scored a penalty, and Cameron Brannigan, it wasn't a great penalty, and he knows how big that is, but you can't really blame someone for missing one penalty. He's got a good record when it comes to taking penalties, and he misses this one. It happens. But that was a big moment in the game. They score. We know what Wickham can do. They might not be firing all cylinders going forward this year, but defensively, they're looking like the Wickham of previous years. So 2 banks of 4-4-2, players behind the ball, the majority of the players behind the ball, keep it tight, hit it long. Sam Vokes can hold it up. They got McCleary, they got Mahemati, had a brilliant game. I thought he looked really, really lively. They know, we all know what Wickham are going to try and do. And different, strange tactical decisions from Robinson. He does look like a man that knows something's got to happen, and he looks a little bit desperate. I look at the bench, and I look at the starting 11. You're playing Joseph in centre midfield. I know. Let's play somebody. And what we've seen of Joseph so far is he works hard, he presses, his finishing's questionable, his first touch is questionable, his hold-up play is questionable, his ball control is questionable, his balance is questionable. Now, what would you say are the main attributes for a midfielder? Balance is probably quite key. Composure, passing ability, and they're all the things that we can all say he doesn't seem very strong at. We're playing Joseph in centre midfield. That is an absolute... I mean, nobody even asked him after the game. I don't think anyone wanted to ask him. I don't want to hear the answer, but it just seems really weird. And people will say, well, he's got to try something. There's certain things that you can see before you try them, they're not going to work. Playing somebody like Karl Joseph as a centre midfielder is one of the most stupid things I've ever seen. Ever. Unfortunately. And you've got players like Ossian Smith, Billy Bowden, who hasn't been in great form, but Ossian Smith hasn't been given an opportunity at all. He couldn't even get in the squad. This is a midfielder we paid money for, who's an Irish international. Also, I think he's a youth international, isn't he? Under-21s international for Ireland. Clubs were really after Ossian Smith. And we saw him in pre-season. He looked like an actual player. He looked like a midfielder that was happy to get on the ball. He was tall, he was physical. He can't even get in the squad. And you're playing a striker that we've seen isn't very good at key attributes going forward as a striker, and you're sticking him in midfield. I mean, what does that say to the players that can't get into that starting 11, especially the midfielders? It's a little bit embarrassing. He looks desperate, and that's not Joseph. I mean, he did look desperate, but that's not the point. Karl Robinson looks desperate, and things like that scream to me as desperation. I've got it down here. Robinson quotes are very poor. Apparently, we're good today. I mean, if we're good today, then he must have been watching something else on iFollow, because we weren't good today. We were horrendous. There were decent moments, but generally, when you don't win a game of football, when you have 27 shots and can't gain any rhythm or momentum in the game, we're not good, Carl. That was not good, mate. That was awful. It was a horrific afternoon. We were there all night. We could still be playing now. We wouldn't be scoring. Cameron Brannigan quote here: on another day we win 6-1. No, we're not winning 6-1. We could still be shooting now. We ain't winning 6-1. We wouldn't score 6 goals. Stick with us. Today wasn't our day. It's a player that is obviously annoyed. I completely understand. I wouldn't ever say that Robinson and the players don't care. They obviously care. There's my care tick. Of course, Robinson loves that word, and I generally don't doubt it. But unfortunately, we care. A lot of people care. But that can only take you so far. Sometimes quality's got to come into it, and we're seriously lacking in that. The question will be, how long do you give Robinson? How long do you give him? I just look at the fixture list. I think it's Exeter away, Pompey away, Peterborough at home, Bolton away. I don't think it's in that order. It might be. I'm not entirely sure. But either way, those are the games we've got coming up, and they're very challenging. Very, very challenging. If we play like that, or we played against Cambridge, or we played against Plymouth, or we played against Burton, or we played against MK Dons, we will get absolutely demolished. We will get demolished. I understand some people say, yeah, but you don't play like that when you play better opposition. Well, we played Plymouth, and they absolutely outclassed us in all departments for every minute of the game. So I'm not quite sure. I just wrote this down here on the way home. Nick Harris, been on the podcast a couple of times. I love Nick Harris. He's one of my favourite people. Actually, ever. He's an absolute legend. And he's always been very, very pro Robinson. And so have I. And I still think he's he's clearly a good manager. He's got a good record. But sometimes a good manager and a good person and a good bloke can also go, I think my time might be up here. He'll get another job, obviously. But sometimes it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right now. It really doesn't. And even he said, I think the question was something along the lines of how long do you give Robinson or something like that. He said, won't be too long. It won't be too long before things continue. I think what he means by that is it won't be too long until he does go if things don't continue or don't improve or things continue to go the way they are. And I think that's fair. And that does summarise Nick Harris again, summing up it in very, very clear wording. If it carries on like this for 3-4 games, he definitely has to move on. And I think my gut's saying right now wouldn't be a bad shout. But I also understand sacking a manager isn't an easy thing to do. It never will be. And of course, you've got to replace him. The grass isn't always greener. I get it. But the grass is dying here. and the grass might be dead. So we might have to change our turf. That was a horrific analogy, by the way. But I think you understand what I'm trying to say. Things might need to change. There's no spark, there's no threat, there's no creativity. And you put all that together, we look quite shaky defensively. I know we're conceding loads of goals, but even that isn't a comfortable thing. It's a good goal that Wickham scored, and fair play to Wickham. They did what they do. They go 1-0 up. They defend for their lives, and again they did that for the majority of the game, or majority of the second half. But I think it might be time. And it hurts because, like I say, I don't want to drag it on for too long. It doesn't need to be this long, but it does hurt because you've got someone here that's been in 3.5 years. Not like he's been here 6 months, things haven't worked out, because you don't have that sort of affection for a manager. But I just don't think things can improve. There's nothing to me that suggests things will get better. And as a football fan, that is not a good experience at all. You have to sort of go, we have to hang on to something. There's nothing to hang on to. We've lost grip on everything. The players are frustrated. They're confronting fans that there's boos after every half. It's just repetitive. It's boring. It's just not good enough. And I don't like it. I sound like I'm a little moaning child, but I don't like it. And yeah, that's all I've got to say on that. Let me know in the comment section down below how you feel. Maybe you're a neutral watching this, and maybe you're interested to see what I've got to say on the situation. What would you do if you're in my shoes, or what do you think the owners of Oxford should do? I'm intrigued. I really, really am. Yeah, we'll see what happens, won't we? We'll see what happens. Ultimately, we have no control. We can, I guess, show our frustration and anger. But, ultimately, we don't have the power to make any kind of decisions. And yeah, that's that. Leave a like, subscribe, please. It'd be amazing if you could do both of those things. Remember, Roundup's coming up tomorrow on Sunday, so that's going to be exciting. Some big shocks actually in League One this weekend, so I look forward to delving into them. And until next time, have a good rest of your Saturday. Unless you're an Oxford United fan, I imagine it's going to be quite a long Saturday night. I'm going to forget about that and quickly move on. Take care, stay safe, and see you soon. Speak soon. Tomorrow, in fact. See you later.